Back on Morning Line. It's our final segment this morning. We're talking now with Vice Mayor Jim Shulman here in the city of Nashville, taking your calls and comments on Facebook. We've got next on the line, I think it's on line 5. Karma is on line 5. Hi, Karma. Good morning. Do you have a question or comment?
Good morning. I do. I am a resident of North Nashville, and I watched the city completely be gentrified from my time here of a year span. Like literally the bus stops were removed out of areas that were once predominantly black areas. So my question, as a new resident of this booming city, what kind of plans, if you guys aren't voting on the people's budget, what plans are you voting on that is in the best interest of our schools, our communities, our hospitals? Like, what are you guys implementing to help the people here if it's not the people's budget?
Okay, Vice Mayor.
So, Karma, a good question. So, go back for just a second. So, I understand the people's budget is directed at trying to say, put your resources, prioritize your resources, and that's a very good message. And I understand that they're talking about, moving money into schools and other things like that, away from the police and the DA and the sheriff's office. So this is such a strange year. That's why this is kind of, even depending on what happens this year, the message continues. I think, I think we keep talking, but go back to what the mayor submitted in terms of a budget. This is such a strange year because of the pandemic. Again, what happened was when everything just basically came to a halt in March and April, the city was already in a tight financial situation anyway. So all of a sudden, revenue stopped coming in, and the city went from having just barely a stable budget to having one that was in trouble. And then you looked at next year, where we're not even sure what's going to happen in this next fiscal year. So all the mayor basically was trying to do was hold it together. Okay, that sounds really strange, but there wasn't new money for really much of anything. So when people start saying, well, you put a lot of increases into this and this and this and not into schools, I think the schools got maybe $400,000. That was just that's about all they could get out of this budget. We have a $330 million hole. So all the mayor's budget was trying to do was fill that hole so that he didn't have to lay off mass numbers of people in city government. So it's just two things. Fill the hole so we can basically keep stable, and put some money into the rainy day fund as required by the comptroller of the Treasury, who has to approve our budget, and submitted a letter and said, you've got to do that. So it was really just two things. So when you start talking about, well, how are you going to increase education and all these other things, none of this, really what we've got in front of us is just a hold together budget. Then we have to figure out where we go from there. So you can want lots of changes and other things like that, and it may come. We'll see what the council does. But basically, the whole intent of what the mayor's budget is trying to do is just to hold it together so we can get through this really difficult situation. And it's all caused by this virus that we can't see, and that everything had to shut down. And we don't know what may happen in the summer and the fall. So again, he's putting some extra revenue in there in case we run into serious problems in the fall.
Let's go next to Ann. Ann, good morning. Ann, go ahead.
Good morning. First, I just want to clarify one thing. When you ask for public comment and you get a large response, you cannot be critical of the response that you get. For many, many months, myself and many others have been going to community oversight board meetings, and for quite some time, residents of Davidson County have been asking for and been being ignored by Chief Anderson when it comes to many issues with the Davidson County Community Oversight Board. One of those things would be body-worn cameras.
Hey, Ann, we just have about a couple minutes, so you got to get to it real quick if you want a response.
I'm going to be really fast.
Okay.
Thursday evening, 6 Caucasians drove into Nissan Stadium fully loaded with weapons, and those people were allowed to drive away with those weapons. None of them were arrested. They drove those vehicles into a peaceful march with 10,000 people, and it was live streamed. Then the 70-plus officers that had them surrounded were told to back down. This all was live streamed, and I sent this video out to all of you. And then Sunday in the Tennessean, there was a small article because a Tennessean reporter got pictures of it.
Okay, well, Ann, you weren't as brief as you promised, but I know her point is that, the fact that they kind of took over that meeting is partly born out of frustration because they feel they were not being heard, and so they've viewed this as their opportunity to make a statement.
Well, and I'm fine, and I certainly don't want to come off as being critical of, we want to hear, okay? So, and again, we heard 8 hours of that message. Again, Ann calls quite a bit. Part of what I was frustrated about is that there are other people. I mean, my take on what my role is to try to hear from everybody. So that was part of it. Real quick, on the Community Oversight Board, hey, I voted for that, and I want it to function. So I'm that's one of the concerns floating around. I'm with Ann on that one. The body cams, they're putting money in. I know it's been budgetary issues in the past and they haven't done that, but you're seeing amendments to the, I know the mayor's budget and also Councilmember Mendez's budget. Puts money in for body cameras. We've been talking about it for a couple of years. They haven't been done. Stay on our back, Ann. That's your job, is to stay on our backs to make sure we do what we're supposed to do. Okay.
And she will.
I know she will.
And the body cams are going.
Yeah.
Hey, Vice Mayor, thanks for coming on today.
Sure.
We really appreciate it. A lot going on and a lot of people with strong opinions on all this. I'm glad we could hear from so many. But we'll continue to follow it, and we'll do more, and we'll certainly be watching that meeting next week. All right, my friend, take care. We'll be talking to you soon. Take a break. Be right back. Wrap things up right after this.